Hi, I'm Kayla Qualman, and I'm here with.
Leighton Robinson.
And today we'll be discussing how LGBTQ community sexual education isn't represented well in public schools. So, Leighton, your sexual orientation is.
I'm gay.
You're gay. Oh. Okay. So, I wanted to ask you a question. Sexual education in school, how was that for you?
Well, I mean, like, sex education, like, it's really, like, even, like, from elementary, middle, and high school, you're really just taught about STDs and abstinence. That's really all you learn is abstinence, STDs, but you don't really talk about how to prevent them and what to do, per se.
Okay, how was sexual orientation taught at your school?
It wasn't,
It wasn't.
actually, at all.
Was it taught for heterosexuals?
In a way, yes. Like in my high school health class, we learned more about the female body in order to understand it than we did our own bodies, and I thought that was a little kind of, I don't know, like it was definitely geared towards heterosexual males because we're learning more about the female body and what to do with the female body and not the male body.
Okay. So there's been, plenty of people, supporting and not supporting the fact that we should have, the LGBT community's sexual education represented in public schools. Do you agree with this?
I do agree that sex education should be taught for specifically for LGBTQ plus individuals in schools. Yes.
So, along with sexual education for heterosexuals, you would like to see homosexual sex ed brought to school.
Yes, because I just feel like, well, really, like, I just think that sex education should be improved all around for homosexual and heterosexual children because heterosexual children, their primary, like, learning point is abstinence and not contraceptives and what to do and how to avoid getting an STI. And for LGBTQ individuals, it's almost really non existent about our aspect and our view on life and stuff. So I would have to say that I would like to see sex education taught for gay men, for gay women, for LGBTQ plus individuals in schools.
Did you know only 12 states require discussion of sexual orientation in sex education, and of those, 3 require the teaching of inaccurate and negative information?
Require the teaching of inaccurate information?
It's either inaccurate or negative or positive. Did you know that?
Did not.
Okay.
Wow.
Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas are the 3 states that give negative information on homosexual sexual education.
Honestly, I'm not surprised.
And California, Colorado, Delaware, New Jersey, and New Mexico, Oregon, and Rhode Island are states that are inclusive. So,
Good for them.
Okay. So, we know that we want sexual education for homosexuals to be represented better or in a better way in public schools. And as you know, a lot of people are against that. Activists for against the homosexual teachings of sexual education has stated, we're the taxpayers, we're the parents, you don't know our children, and you're not allowed to rape the minds of our children with the pornographic material. How does that make you feel?
Well, first and foremost, it is a sexual education class. Mm-hmm. So you are seeing pornographic images, if that makes sense, of body parts. So I think that point is null and void. And furthermore, the taxpayers, most of them, some of them, do have gay children. So wouldn't they be included in the conversation?
So, Leighton,
Uh-huh.
Glisten.org has listed some facts that I found to be quite shocking. And I wanted to get your point of view from, like, a homosexual male and how you find these facts to be a little crazy or not.
Okay.
So, LGBTQ plus youth communities are more likely to have begun having sex at an early age and to have multiple partners compared to their heterosexual peers, more likely to have sex while under the influence of alcohol or other drugs, more likely to experience dating violence, less likely to use condoms or birth control when they have sex, more likely to contract HIV or other STIs, and are more likely to experience teen pregnancy, all due to the lack of proper sexual education.
Well, I mean, like, I feel like they're all definitely true because gay men, like, especially gay men in particular, like, ever since the 80s, this is why the HIV outbreak in the 80s was very, like, it was so deadly because gay men, from an early age, like in school, we were taught that condoms and contraceptives were for keeping a baby from happening, and they were to, that was all they did. But in reality, gay men, in turn, with, there's no chance of getting somebody pregnant if you're a gay man. You're having sex with men. But, assuming. And so, a lot of gay men did not, and still don't, use condoms. And that's a very big problem in our community, because condoms not only prevent, unwanted children, they also prevent from, like, STIs. So it's a very common problem that can be easily solved with better sex education.
So as we come to an end of the video, we have went over several facts like LGBTQ youth are in danger of coercion and, rape and improper sexual care due to the lack of proper knowledge of what to do and what not to do. We've gone over states that include sexual education negatively and inclusively. And we've also talked about people who are totally against the teaching of homosexual sex education, and it was even referred to as raping the minds of children. With all this being said, where do you stand with this argument? Should or should they not teach homosexual sex education along with heterosexual education at public schools?
I'm at a hard hell yes, because we're people. There are so many LGBTQ children out there who simply, they don't have support from their families, and they're also not being taught how to be healthy in their sexual endeavors. So I am a hardcore yes that it should be taught in schools, because, going back to the argument where we said that, some people don't believe in raping the minds of other children, to that I would say that, LGBTQ children are part of the public. So don't they deserve to learn about sexual education just as much as heterosexual children?
Yes.
And I would have to say that I believe in access to all health care and resources for the LGBT community that we so desperately lack and need.
This has been Kayla Kwamina on the topic of supporting or not supporting homosexual sexual education in public schools. I stand with Leighton Robinson. Where do you stand?